There's also another problem in the United States of America, which is lack of access to care at all in rural areas. It's just really up. It's really bad. And the irony, of course, is that these kinds of like anti-socialist, hyper-capitalist measures are first and foremost gutting and eviscerating and destroying rural areas, which happen to vote consistently anti-socialist and consistently Republican. Isn't that crazy? I'm saying it. Okay. Senator Bernie Sanders was on Theo Vaughn. Is this good? Is this a banger?
He's one of my favorites. You have
one of the points I think a little bit, but
Bernie Sanders, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be with you, Theo.
I really appreciate it.
To the video?
I have some new tour dates I want to tell you.
A government dominated by big money interests, right? That's no great secret. So you have these billionaires now in their super PACs. If you're a billionaire, you can contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to elect people, to feed people.
I gotta pee. I'll be back.
If you're a large corporation or you represent the pharmaceutical industry, do you know how many lobbyists there are in Washington, D.C. representing the big drug companies? Take a wild and crazy guess.
2,000.
You got it. That's a pretty good guess. About 1,800.
Wow.
So there are 100 members of the Senate and 435 members of the House. Got it? 535. And you got 1,800 lobbyists. Well-paid, former leaders of the Democratic Party, leaders of the Republican Party. They're there to say, hey, Congress, do everything you can to make sure we make as much money as possible, and who gives a damn whether people can afford the prescription drugs they need. So that's power.
So you have a whole other drug government almost going on.
Absolutely.
That's even bigger than our own government. Numbers-wise.
Well, not big. Well, we can define what we mean by bigger. But
that's fair.
But if you look at Wall Street, the power of Wall Street, the drug companies, the insurance companies, the fossil fuel industry, you have enormous wealth, enormous power. And if your question is it government that tells them what to do, or they tell what the government to do? More the latter. They tell the government what to do. Very powerful.
Does it feel like that's changed over your time, like in politics, or has it always been that way?
I think to some degree, money talks, right?
Yeah.
No great secret. That's always been the case. It's worse now, and I'll tell you why. As a result of this Citizens United Supreme Court decision, you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
So people brought action. Billionaires really brought action. They said, hey, it's undemocratic. You're taking away my freedom of speech, right? I got a First Amendment right. We're on TV now. You could say whatever you want to say, and I'm a billionaire, and I want to spend unlimited sums of money to defeat this candidate or support this candidate, and you have laws on the books now which restrict my freedom to buy the election. You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Okay. And the Supreme Court said, well, guys, you're right. You're billionaires. You should be able to spend as much money as you want to buy elections. And that's what you have. So right now, this is literally the truth. You have super PACs where billionaires can put unlimited amounts of money, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, to defeat people they don't like or to support people they do like. That's power. And that is a corruption of what democracy is supposed to be. Look, you and I can disagree on an issue, all right? 10 people. We argue it out, we vote, I get the majority, you get the majority, somebody wins, somebody loses. I don't think billionaires should be able to buy elections.
And I think most people think that. Most people are like, why are corporations or companies allowed to give money to candidates and influence elections, right? Almost every person I know says that should be
right.
No. Whose responsibility is it to make sure it doesn't happen? Is it ours, or is it the politicians?
Well, what happened is there were laws put in place, not as strong as I would like, which did limit the power of big money.
Yeah.
Okay? And what that Supreme Court decision said is what Congress did was unconstitutional, denied big money their freedom of speech. If you're a billionaire...
Bro, is Theo Vaughn doing reverse Joe Rogan? He had Bassem Youssef on. He's having Bernie on. What's next? Is he going to have me on? What's going on here? Why is he doing this?
You have freedom of speech. That means you can run ads all over the day.
I know Joe Rogan had Bernie on too. Okay, I know. How do I get Bernie on? I haven't really tried. I'm pretty sure I could. Bro, you're the same as Bernie Sanders. Come on. No, man, from a podcast circuit, if he was like Joe Rogan, oh my God, you guys are so stupid. That's not what I meant, obviously. That's why I brought up Bassem Youssef as well, okay? It would be like the equivalent, Joe Rogan having right-wingers on all the time. the left-wing equivalent of that would be having a person like myself on. Man, my entire fan base, bro, you guys have knives out for me all the time, dude. I'm not expecting you to give me my flowers, okay? I'm not. But holy shit, y'all are so ready to shove down anything I say. Knives are out at all points, dude. Holy moly. Yo, have like a fraction of the smoke for my haters, please. Okay? I know I serve you 3-minute ad breaks at the top of the hour, and some of you guys get bent out of shape. Okay? Many of you are subscribed in order to avoid the top of the hour ad break. That means you can run ads all over the day at the top of the hour. That's what Bernie's talking about. King Conquer, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Remember when everyone scolded Bernie for going on Rogan and successfully advocating for progressive principles? Yeah, I know. I thought that was so lame that everyone was yelling at him over that. Oh, God. What an awful timeline that was. Here's the 3-minute ad break now, by the way.
And to, beat Bernie Sanders, beat anybody. And that's what happened. So what we have got to do now is once again pass legislation that will do that.
Are there politicians that aren't viable, kind of? Or aren't influenced by lobbyists?
Of course there are.
There
are. Yeah. And there's some very good people. But many people, look, just throw out an example. You're running for election, okay? Your opponent is spending millions of dollars. These TV ads are up there, all right? Do you think you're going to stand up to powerful special interests who say, Theo, listen, I like you, but you're going to take that position on that issue. I got to be running millions of dollars of ads against you. What do you think you're going to do if you want to get elected? You could say, well, go to hell. I'm going to do it anyhow. And many would do. Or you run the risk of, seeing that kind of money come against you.
Or you then have to find a lobbyist that has an interest of yours and you have to try and fight back.
Which is a pretty pathetic thing, right?
Right.
So to some degree, what you have right now, it's a funny kind of thing. It's, let's say you were running against me. It's not you against me. It's your moneyed interest versus my moneyed interest. That's what super PACs are.
Yeah.
Now, corporations cannot directly contribute to your campaign, but big money interests, billionaires.
Yeah, they just can't have direct communication with the campaign, which, by the way, ain't nobody is listening to that, okay? You just get like someone in your orbit to communicate with the PAC anyway. It's one of the biggest, like, oh God, it's such bullshit. Like, I hate the system so much. Like, who the fuck are you fooling, bro? It is just bribery. That's it.
Can contribute to a super PAC. So you have all these, what I would say to you, people watch the show here, look at the
Trump literally had an aide text a PAC owner on the Montana plane last week.
Ads that are on television, they'll be underneath it, you'll see paid for by supporters of the American way of life or whatever the hell it is. Understand that in most cases, these are billionaires putting money into a candidate.
So the super PAC is kind of the loophole.
Yep.
Is how they do it. So it's not directly from them.
Exactly. There are limits. All right, you wanted to contribute to my campaign. They're pretty stringent limits. You can't contribute. I think it's $5,000. To a super PAC,
even Bernie doesn't know the max contribution limit, which is pretty funny.
You can contribute $100 million.
Wow.
That's a big issue. We don't talk about it enough. And then you can understand that if you're an ordinary person, who's going to listen to your interests, your needs, right? When billionaires are putting in this kind of money.
Right. If the best I can help you out with is $5,000, you might show up and shake my hand, but when the rickshaw hits the road or whatever, you're going to be working for the big dogs for the cash.
You got it. That's the way the system works.
And how do we change that?
Well, first of all, this campaign finance reform is a big deal. Just this one issue, and I'm glad you raised it. We got to do away with the Citizens Union. We have to have restrictions. Okay. When I ran for president, the average contribution was $27, okay, roughly speaking. And we got millions of people to contribute. So I think there has to be a real stringent limit on the amount of money that any individual can put into the political process. And I also believe that we should move to what we call public funding of elections. You're a candidate, right? You want to run for governor, you want to run for senator. If you show that you have a certain amount of support, you got X number of thousands of people willing to put $5 into your campaign,
sick.
You can be able to get public funding, and there's a limit at how much you can spend. These are not radical ideas.
These are a lot of the reasons why I can't discount him for his post-October 7 rhetoric on Israel. You know what I
They
mean?
exist in many countries around the world, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. Do you think that our election?
I wanted to hate Theo, but I can't. No, he is very lovable. Everything I hear from him, even when he's being like genuinely unhinged, like he'll sometimes say something that like I feel like if anyone else was delivering that same speech, I'd be like, this is a racist guy. What the or like this is the most ableist motherfucker on the planet. Holy shit. But like he has a way of doing it in a way where he's like, I'm just a dumbass. And it just ends up being very funny. I don't know how he does it, but he is very consistent. And also, I think more importantly, he always does legitimately come across like he has an open mind.
Process is still democratic. Do you think it's still?
Yes and no. I mean, you want to run for office. Can you? Yeah, you can. You got a certain number of signatures. But if you're going to win, and I have 10 times more money than you do, I will beat you 95% of the time.
Wow.
I mean, that's a fact, right?
Right, 100%.
You'll beat me maybe if you're really an exceptional candidate and I'm a real idiot, you will beat me once in a while. But by and large, the money people will win. So if you're asking me, are we a democracy? In one sense, we are. All right, you can run for office. You can raise your issues. On the other hand, in terms of who has the real power, money people do. And I use the term oligarchy. An oligarchy is a society where small numbers of very wealthy people control the economic and political life of the country. I think we are moving rapidly in that direction.
Yeah, I feel like to me, it feels like almost privatized communism in a way.
Right. That's a very good point. It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly sometimes everything of what communism is and what socialism is, but sometimes that's how it feels.
Well, let me give you an example. Can I pick up on your point?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I believe we are the only nation on earth, major nation, wealthy nation, that does not guarantee health care to all people, okay? Get in your car, go 50 miles where you are sitting right now in Burlington, Vermont. You have a terrible automobile accident. You're in the hospital for a month in Canada. Do you know what the bill is when you come out? Zero.
Nothing.
Okay. Do you know how much the Canadians spend per person on health care compared to us? 1/2 as much. They spend half as much. You don't take out your wallet. If you get sick, you go to the doctor that you want, okay? I believe in that type of system. They guarantee health care to all of their people. Mm-hmm. It's publicly funded the way we fund police departments, fire departments, and libraries, okay? You got to pay taxes for it. But at the end of the day, it is less expensive for your health care. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're a proponent for health care for all, right?
I absolutely.
And yes, and you always have been. And but how the system seems so rigged because you have like one of the number one causes of bankruptcy in America is medical debt, right?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Like people can't, they go in, they don't even know the cost. They sign an agreement that they're going to be billed later, right? It's like, and then they get the bill and it's astronomical and they spend the rest of their life literally a slave to the healthcare system or to the medical billing system or the dealing with their insurance, and not to mention they're sick. So the added stress of that, it just feels like like something so much better could be done.
Theo, that is so pathetic and so sick and so cruel. I mean, we did a hearing on this, and roughly speaking, and I know the viewers will think this is like hard to believe. Half of the people who are dealing with cancer. Now, cancer is a terrible disease, right? Your point.
100%.
You're struggling for your life, right?
Bad, yeah,
Maybe
bad.
you make it, maybe you don't. You got radiation, chemotherapy, bad stuff, right? Half the people who get cancer treatment either end up in bankruptcy or utilizing all of the financial resources of the family. They're depleted. They're broke. So imagine that. You go into the hospital. Doctor says, Theo, sorry, you got cancer, terrible. You're worried to death, right? Your friends, your family are worried. And then on top of that, what are you worried about? Oh, my God. What, I'm going to have to sell my house? Or I have to go bankrupt in order to pay medical bills? That is insane.
Yeah.
And it adds, if you're trying to deal with cancer, then you got to worry about financial stress.
I think the best part of this is that, like, if someone tried to, I guess, like, neo-lib pill Theo Von in the opposite direction, it would always fail because, like, the counter argument to what Bernie Sanders is saying, where he's like coming at this from a point of empathy, caring about the plight of the common man, and how damaging and how devastating it is when you are undergoing a phenomena that does not exist anywhere else in the developed world, medical bankruptcy. right? The counter narratives are almost always like profit motive driven. Like unless you're like a right winger and you're just like, well then and you just start lying and say like, well, your taxes are going to be 90% and also there's not going to be a doctor and also they're going to kill you if you go to the hospital unless you're gay. And then if you're not gay, they're going to make you gay. They're going to sodomize you and then make you gay. Like unless you just straight up make up examples, if you actually try to argue this from the perspective that like the Democratic Party tries to argue it on, it's almost always about the bottom line of like the pharmaceutical industry and private insurance, which absolutely zero people who are normal will give a fuck about. They'd be like, what are you saying to me? The right-wing counter to this is just like doctors will make you homosexual. The neoliberal right-wing argument against it is like, what about the profits of the shareholders?
Think it's going to make your condition any better?
No, the worst. You spend half your day, you can't even, in the insurance companies, it's all a rigmarole. It's constant stress. But how is it set up like that? Like, what is the gimmick between insurers and the hospital? That's the thing I don't know. What's going on?
All right, take it a step. Let's take a step further.
Okay.
Let me talk about the Canadian system. All right.
Okay.
Simple system. You pay taxes. And progressive. The more you make, the more you pay. But everyone pays taxes. All right. End result is you walk into the hospital, you sign your name, you have all the treatment you need. And it's good quality healthcare. You don't have to argue with insurance companies. You get the care that the doctors think you need. End of discussion. And in my view, that's the way it should be. It's not just that the insurance companies make huge profits. They do. Not just they pay their CEOs exorbitant salaries, which they do. Everybody's got to fill out 1,000 different forms, right? Goes crazy. Filling out forms to see what you're entitled to, what you're not entitled to, deductibles, right?
Yeah, the bureaucracy, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Is that called bureaucracy? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right, so look, you may have health insurance, but I just talked to a person the other day. We had a meeting. You know what their deductible was?
What about the propaganda with Canada where you have to wait for a procedure? Great question. It is entirely due to right-wingers in Canada, both on the Liberal government and also the Conservatives, underfunding the social safety nets deliberately, mind you, so that people get resentment and develop resentment towards socialized medicine with the direct goal of trying to privatize key aspects of the industry, which is already happening in certain parts of Canada too. Like this is a deliberate method. You consistently underfund government-funded healthcare. It becomes unmanageable. People start dying. They develop resentment towards these. Institutions. They start saying, "What the fuck is going on? Like, I can't get paid enough." Nurses and doctors are angry. They don't get paid enough. There's not enough staff on payroll on top of that. And then ultimately, the solution is privatization. They're doing this with the NHS. They're trying to do this with the NHS. They're trying to do this with socialized medicine in general. You're technically right, but healthcare is handled on a provincial level, so it's provincial right-wing / lib governments. Yes, that's exactly how it works.
$13,000. What does that mean? It means that the first...
Also, waiting is not for immediate life-saving. Like, you don't go into the hospital emergency room with a gunshot wound and they go, "Oh, come back in 3 weeks." That's not how this goes. Wait lists are for procedures, oftentimes elective procedures, or rather procedures that are still life-saving. It's still life-saving procedures, but it's not like immediate. You know what I mean? Like getting a hip replacement. So the question at that point becomes, would you rather wait a month or two to get this hip replacement? Or would you rather be able to get the hip replacement, maybe, if you have enough to pay for it, and then have a lifetime of medical debt as a consequence of it? Try to 6 to 9 months. Like I said, the wait list part of the equation, absolutely has everything to do with underfunding. Okay? That's it. Because there is obviously a finite amount of time and resources that you can spend on this process. So if there's a finite amount of time and resources, there's an allocation of resources that occurs. In the United States of America, the allocation of resources is not distributed by need, who needs this immediately, but by who can pay for it. Okay? The dynamic under capitalism is that the wealthy person's cat takes first priority over a hungry human. Okay? If there's only 2 bags of food, the wealthy person can buy a bag of food for themselves and a bag of food for their cat before you get a bag of food at all. In a socialist distribution, obviously, cuts would need to be made if there was a, this is a reductive argument, but if there was a cut that needed to be made, both humans would get a bag of food instead of the cat. No disrespect to the cat lovers in the chat and dog lovers as well. It's just that, give the cat some of your food. You know what I'm saying?
First $13,000 of illness they got to pay out of their own pocket. How many people can pay $13,000? So if you get hit by a truck and you're up $1 million bill, yeah, the insurance companies will kick in.
Yeah,
presumably.
Oh, that's the other part. Before I forget, there's obviously also waitlisting in the United States of America as well. There's also another problem in the United States of America, which is lack of access to care at all in rural areas. Rural hospitals have shut down all around the country. Okay. As we were talking about yesterday, medevacs are becoming more and more commonplace, like helicoptering patients, which is insanely expensive. It's just really up. It's really bad. And the irony, of course, is that these kinds of anti-socialist, hyper-capitalist measures are first and foremost gutting and eviscerating and destroying rural areas, which happen to vote consistently anti-socialist and consistently Republican. Isn't that crazy? It's not crazy. As material conditions worsen, you become more and more reactionary, and the conservatives fill that gap with, Mexicans are actually stealing your healthcare or whatever kind of narratives, and people tend to believe it. Look at West Virginia. Look no further than West Virginia if you want to see how that works.
All right. So the whole idea that healthcare in America, unlike every other major country, all right, go to Europe, go to Canada, go to many Latin American countries. It is a bloody right, not a privilege. And that's what I think it should be. So we have a system that works very well for the insurance companies and the drug companies. In some cases, you're going to pay 10 times more for medication in America than they do in other countries. That's a whole other story we're trying to deal with right now. But it's a corrupt system benefiting the people who own it, not the ordinary American. You go out on the street, say to people, do you think healthcare is a human right? All people in America should have it. Yeah, we do. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask that in DZ. Some are going to say it's a privilege.
I'm fighting for.
And then who are the lobbyists that are against that then?
What do you think? Guys from the insurance companies and the drug companies.
Okay, and then what politicians work with those? Why don't we know what politicians are cheating us so that we don't have them in anymore?
All right, you're a smart guy. You tell me, how often have you heard a discussion in this country about how broken the healthcare system is and comparing it to other countries?
A lot.
All right, you've heard a lot about this?
Well, I mean, I think I hear a lot about, I look into it a lot.
All right, you look into it, but how many people even know that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee healthcare to all people? So when people say, oh, Bernie Sanders is a radical idea, he thinks everybody should have healthcare. Really? That exists in Canada, it's in France, in England, in Denmark, in Sweden, in every bloody country on earth, virtually, rich country. So it's not a radical.
And
even Mars, I heard.
Poor countries too. That's the craziest part. Because it's not about, this process is not even necessarily about cost, because it's literally a cost-saving measure, okay? This is about whether or not the government cares about the interests of its citizens and genuinely feels the need to take care of its citizens, or if it cares more about profits for mega corporations. And the reality of the matter is, the United States of America, our government absolutely cares more about the profits than they do about each individual citizen's lives, okay? That's all this is. Not even that. It's about the effects of labor unions. I mean, that too. That plays a big role in it too, because none of these things actually come. None of these advancements, none of these human rights have ever been given to people unconditionally because of the magnanimous nature of the people in positions of power. It just doesn't happen. You have to extract concessions by fighting for them super hard.
They have health care there now.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, some people would say that the argument against that would be that then there's less personal responsibility to take care of yourself, right? But
Really?
But that would be in other countries anyway, right? That would be
What is
anywhere.
if God forbid you or I came down with a serious illness tomorrow, am I going to blame you for coming down with cancer?
Isn't the easy counter that Republicans don't trust the government, so paying extra tax for a system you don't trust would be bad? I mean, that is a dumbass argument that Republicans make for sure, but that's just how taxes work in general. You're just now undermining the entire concept behind like paying into taxes. So then you got to go back to square one and basically talk to this person about like how important it is that you have roads. You know what I mean? Like you just have to have roads. And how are you going to build roads? Well, you got to get funds. You got to pool funds and be able to put it together. The other side of it, in terms of the health insurance scam, is that taxes are basically like a singular pool for health insurance, except it's going to the government. Okay? That's why it's cheaper in countries with socialized healthcare, because obviously it is in the government's interest to ensure that the costs are kept as low as possible. It is not necessarily in the interest of the healthcare industry to keep costs as low as possible. It's just about offsetting as much of the cost back to the patient.
I mean, is that a personal responsibility?
It's a good point. Yeah, probably not. That might just be kind of a ghost of an argument.
And but to pick up on that point, what should one of the priorities of a good healthcare system be? It should be to try to keep people healthy. So it should encourage people to have good diet, to do exercise, to stay away from, addictive stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Do we do a particularly good job on that? Not so much. Because where do the insurance companies make their money? Hey, if you're really sick, pretty good.
Yeah.
We keep you healthy, not so much.
Are they one of the largest lobbyist groups?
Yep.
Wow.
Very, very. They're huge. I mean, and we started this discussion. You talk about, privatized communism, whatever the expression you used, I believe that, Medicare is the health insurance program for the elderly. Mm-hmm. Medicaid is for lower income people. I think we should combine all these and guarantee health care to all people. But your point is that in the private sector, we are moving to a monopoly, and it's true. People like United Health, unbelievable. United Health, to the best of my knowledge, has under contract or hires 10% of the doctors in America. Wow. Got that? One insurance company. 10% of the doctors.
And so how would you even start to undo something like that? Like what's a realistic path to reform, I guess?
Thanks. Great question. And because I wrote the bill, I know the answer. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Right now, you have Medicare, which is a very popular program. It's life-saving to many elderly people. That was developed in the 1960s by President Lyndon Johnson. Okay, very popular program. You got Medicaid for the lower-income people, also a popular program. What I would do is, over a 4-year period, take Medicare. First thing you do is expand Medicare, because Medicare does not now cover dental, hearing, or vision. A lot of people can't afford to go to a dentist. Got me?
Yeah.
Okay. You expand it. And then you say right now, to be eligible for Medicare, you got to be 65 years of age.
Okay.
First year, lower it to 55. So you're 57, congratulations. You don't have to worry about whether you have insurance on your job. You want to hear something else crazy about the private insurance system. You work for a big corporation, okay? Mm-hmm. They give you good health insurance. He works for McDonald's, virtually nothing, all right? That's pretty crazy. Where you work determines the kind of health care you get. Anyhow, so we go from 65 down to 55, 55 next year down to 45, 45 to 35, fourth year you cover everybody. Gradual absorption. So you have a Medicare system that covers all people.
People, this is so funny. People will go, there's no dental in Sweden. It's privatized. Bro, that doesn't mean it's a good thing, right? Wouldn't you want dental to also be covered? It's shit. Yeah.
People, you no longer have to pay any more deductibles or co-payments, no more premiums.
I'm a firm, committed believer that if the Democratic Party didn't get in the way of Bernie Sanders, and there was like a Kamala Harris style situation that occurred this time around, but with Bernie Sanders in 2016, which obviously is laughable, it would never happen. We would have experienced 8 phenomenal years of prosperity.
You get your health care because you're an American citizen.
He'd be going for his third term right now because they would unwind the constitutional. They would unwind term limits in an effort to make him FDR style. He would die in office.
Will your taxes go up? They may. Will it be less than what you pay right now in private insurance? Yes, it will be. It's a good deal.
Can we afford that as a country, you think?
Sure.
Yeah?
We are now spending over $4 trillion on healthcare. We spend double. Here's another point to be made. We spend twice as much per person on healthcare as any other country because it's designed to make money for the insurance companies and the drug companies.
Wait, so explain it to me. So we spend twice as much on healthcare
We are spending right now, Theo.
as any other country
Yes.
per person,
Yes.
but the money isn't going towards them getting, so we'd almost save the money just by,
You got it. All right. Here, example.
is that
All right.
true?
Yes, it's true. Check it out.
Is that true? That seems too good to be true. I love that he led Theo into arriving at that conclusion on his own. That makes it so much better. People love coming to those conclusions on their own.
It is true. Chairman of the Bloody Committee. Yes, it is true. All right.
Bloody, literally, people are fucking bleeding
Bloody
out, dude. Yeah.
All right. If I buy a car tomorrow for $80,000, you buy a car for $40,000. What is the presumption? Should my car be a better car than yours?
Yes.
Okay, I'm spending twice as much. All right, but I got a much great better car than you have. All right, we are spending per person over $13,000. All right, spending $13,000 on you, $13,000 on me, $13,000 on a 5-year-old, $13,000 on a 90-year-old. All right, $13,000 per person over $4 trillion nationally. Canadians are spending about half of that per person.
And they're taking care of everybody.
Yes. And the British are spending less than that. Other countries a little bit less.
But does that affect us with the population number that we
No,
have?
doesn't matter. I mean,
'Cause it's
per person.
Got it. Okay.
I'm not talking about in gross, but
Right.
per person.
How do you stop hospitals from overcharging?
Well, so one thing I want to mention here is that the man that you are watching, Bernie Sanders, 84 years old, had a heart attack last time he was campaigning, and he's still sharp as like, that's crazy, dude. Now look at Joe Biden, 82 years old. Sorry,
It's
okay.
a corrupt system.
If they know that the government's going to pick up the tab.
Good. Very good question. The answer is what they do. I mean, it's not like we're inventing something. Other countries do it. What they say to hospitals is, look, you're not going to be charging Theo when he's in the hospital. You're not going to be charging him a nickel. But we know, roughly speaking, in a year what you are going to be. You need a certain number of doctors and radiologists and nurses and all that stuff. Here is your budget. It's like a police department. Here's your budget in a year. You need more, maybe we'll come up with more. You get what we call a global budget.
It's like the Dodgers or something.
But you got a global budget.
Right, you got a budget.
And you take care of all the needs. It's not per person. You get it. And what you do there, we spend as a nation, one of the other insanities of this healthcare system, we spend hundreds of billions of dollars on billing. You know what I mean by that? All right.
Medical billing, yeah.
All right. So I'm the insurance companies. First of all, you got to fill out forms. I hire people who are not doctors or nurses, right? They just bill.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You got bill collectors. You go to a hospital, go down into the basement, got 100, well, depending on the size of the hospital, dozens and dozens of people. They don't see a patient. They're just filling out forms.
Yeah, half the Philippines is people just doing medical billing over the phone, you know?
Well, there are countries where you show your card and that's the end of the discussion. But we waste hundreds of billions of dollars just on billing people. Now, there's another issue I want to discuss. Life expectancy. What do we know about life expectancy?
We're getting pretty long in the tooth.
Nope.
We're not living long
Nope. Compared to whom?
compared to probably Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm sure, maybe. All right, but
No, he's right. God damn it. I thought maybe but nope. Come on, Bernie, talk about Cuba. Vietnam got cancer from Agent Orange still. Yeah, it's probably, if we were spending twice as much per person, where's that money going? Is it just going to subsidized insurance companies? Subsidized insurance companies, and also lining up the profit margins for pharmaceutical corporations as well. Look at Cambodia's life expectancy in 1975. That's insane.
all right. We are the richest country on earth. Do we live longer lives than other people?
No, we don't.
Serious question: how many jobs will this cut out, saving that much money? I don't know. It probably would. I mean, it definitely would. But a lot of the jobs would also have to handled, like the administrative stuff would still have to be handled by the government. So then they would work as government employees.
Don't.
We do not. In fact, we're pretty far down the list. Why is that?
Well, I mean, I think it could be that we're not taking as good care of ourselves.
Okay.
And I think it could be that, that we don't have as good a health care.
That's right. All right. I think that's two out of three. All right. Now, here, there are two facts. Japan, other countries will live 4 or 5 years, 6 years longer than we do. That's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they'll live, I forgot what it is.
Like 8% or something.
Yeah, right. It's a lot. But here's another fact that is really unbelievable. It's not just that we live shorter lives despite spending so much on healthcare. The gap between the 1% and the working class is 10 years. If you're rich, you'll live as long as people in other countries. You have a long life, in the 80s or whatever it is. If you're working class, you're going to live 10 years younger. How does that happen, do you think?
Wow. Because just stress, burnout.
Stress, burnout, lack of access to medicine, terrible dietary habits as well, which is not influenced by individual responsibility at all, but instead lack of access to food, education surrounding food deserts, and also obviously shitty work conditions that cause you not to be able to have your own, cook your own food or whatever. Disability born out of your place of work that isn't properly protected due to lack of labor regulations, poor work conditions, lead in your water pipes, shitty infrastructure. Also, life expectancy is skewed by childbirth, child mortality, infant mortality as well. And you're right, that is also pretty bad in America. Lack of sleep is another major reason for why the life expectancy is much lower for working class Americans. There's a multitude of different reasons. It's just that like all of them are bad. It's something as like and it's sometimes things that you would not even consider to be a problem. I'll give you an example. Walkable cities. The American cities are designed around vehicles. American cities do not have an adequate public transit. When there's not enough adequate public transit, everybody is car reliant. Car reliant infrastructure is deadly because when there's no public transit, there's no reason to walk. When there's no reason to walk, you just drive everywhere. When you drive everywhere, you end up becoming fatter. It's shit that you would not even consider, that you would never even think that plays a significant role in Americans being massively obese. It also then contributes to air pollution. It contributes to car accidents. But guess what? Car manufacturers make nice profits at the end of that bargain. So, meanwhile, it doesn't even... You'd be a big fan of Jokic Joestar on TikTok, based basketball analyst who ties things like that to sports. That is literally Asmongold Bizarro World. Jokic Joestar, and you will never unsee it, is Bizarro World Asmongold. It's pretty funny. Whenever he pops up on my timeline, I am a fan of his. Here, I'll show you.
Europe is corrupting our basketball players. Plain and simple, bring these boys home. Devin Booker leaving the club at
He sounds like him too.
6 a.m, hops on a bike and rides home. Oh, I bet that was super cool. I bet that was super calm and relaxing. I bet it was sick as to feel the night breeze against your face, look up to the sky, and be completely at peace. I bet that was so dope. I bet
Asmongold without wow, dude.
it also would have been really easy to hop on a train back to your hotel. Do I need to spell out the American way for you? You wander out of the club, 6 a.m. You're thinking to yourself, God damn, that was crazy. I'm completely out of it right now. I just want to lay down and go to bed. What do? You get behind the wheel of a truck that is lifted so high, you would barely be able to see an average adult male in front of it. You drive that home, you go to sleep. NBA comp, this is what an old head must feel like when you're seeing a fast break develop and and the ball handler takes like a questionable three when there's a guy who probably could have gotten a layup if they had just put like a little mustard on the pass.
Yeah, he's great. I think he's hilarious.
Man, all right. I'm going to sign you up there. You got it.
Look, I think I like a lot of the things that you think about.
All right, let's deal with the issue of stress.
Okay.
Yes, you're right. It is twofold, it seems to me. Number one is if you're rich, you go to any doctor you want, when you want it, get paid for all the drugs you need.
Did we just get everything wrong, or is this some grand scheme? I mean, we did get everything wrong. It's just the grand scheme is capitalism. That's it. Like it's not that complicated. It's just profit motives, corporate profits over people's needs. That's it. Every step of the way.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, that's a real advantage. But above and beyond that, working class people live under enormous stress, right? And that takes a toll on you.
Why is it worse in USA than in other capitalist countries? Because the United States is extra capitalist. That's it. That's the reason. That's it. It's just they do capitalism more. We do capitalism plus. This is the hub, dude.
It's a toll on you physically and mentally. And that is, we have parts of this country where life expectancy is actually in decline.
Give them the real answer, because other countries have more regulations and more social safety nets. Yeah, because they do capitalism minus. Exactly. They have capitalism with like some regulation and a semblance of a welfare state, which was hard fought for, by the way, due to their proximity to the USSR, which was, the opposite of that. So they were terrified of that influence. They were terrified of the influence post-World War II, so they were like forced to make concessions to trade unions and whatnot. But don't worry, America handled that too. The closer you are physically to the former USSR, the less oppressive capital is. It's just like, it's not like dudes in Romania are more industrious and that's why their home ownership percentage is like 90%. You know what I mean? Like, you think that dudes in Romania just listen to the right podcasts? If only Americans had listened to the same podcast that dudes in Romania listen to, and that's why they have like an insanely high home ownership rate. No.
Got it? People are living shorter lives.
Because of the stress.
Because of the stress. And with that stress and the hopelessness, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to suicide.
Yeah.
All right? Bad stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think those are things that, they don't even take those factors into consideration when they're making all of these, you call to get your medical bill. It's a nightmare. It's like, you almost want to, this is crazy.
Japan is pretty capitalist. How do they make it work? Great question. Thousands of years of collectivist attitude deeply instilled in a very xenophobic country. And also they have like insane mechanisms of control and billions in support from the US. Yeah, but like they're asking, how didn't it become this like hyper capitalist dystopia? Also, Japan doesn't work either. Japan has a shit ton of issues and insanely bad worker protections. No, you're wrong about that. Japan also has like weirdly some of the most insane worker protections on the planet. What are you talking about? You cannot fire someone in a Japanese company once you have hired them. Like that's not even it's just not even a thing. That's crazy. Maybe even too much. Like that might be a little too extreme in my opinion. But ultimately I would say that there are exceptions to the rule, but it's not like the Japanese society is thriving right now or the Japanese economy is thriving right now. Completely idiotic take. What about the economy and Attack on Titan? And the other part of this is also the other part of this. They have a place named Suicide Forest. I don't know how much their society works. I mean, people also look at the Japanese suicide rates and they're like, oh, it's so high. It's like, bro, our suicide rates are so bad. Like, our suicide rates are competitive with Japan and Korea. That's crazy. Part of that is because we have guns. A big chunk of that is because we have guns. Guns make the likelihood of your attempted suicide infinitely more successful. Okay? I think we might even have a higher suicide rate than Japan now.
There's been times when I've been like, I would rather take my own life than sit here and make another call. And I'm not even sick.
Let me look it up.
You know, I'm just somebody trying to get to the bottom of the.
All right. And why does that happen?
Because it's loopholes. They don't want you to get paid.
You got it. Not that hard. Look, you pay me money through insurance, right? So you're sick.
Oh no. New trends is suicide in Japan. Which country has the highest suicide rate? Nowhere is it more serious than Lesotho. This landlocked mountainous kingdom of 2.3 million people enriched by South Africa is encircled by South Africa has the highest suicide rate in the world with 87.5 suicides per 100,000 people. Japan's suicide rate's at the lowest in over 40 years, falling about 40% in the last 15 years, the US is 14.5, Japan is 12.2. I don't know. I'm seeing different ones. I'm seeing different numbers here. But the suicide rate in the United States is 14 per 100,000 people. Because anime got too good. Yeah, people are waiting for One Piece to end. Come on, dude. Anyway, the suicide rate numbers are, they're not great. Like, they're not very good. Like, this ranking is not great. Because some of them are not from, I guess it's the last time they did this is like 2019. But every country, this is the same with like crime statistics. Every country has a different measurement structure. You know what I mean? Russia's suicide rates are pretty high. South Korea is pretty high. South Africa is pretty high. Ukraine is pretty high. United States at 14.5. Where the fuck is Japan? God damn. Japanese suicide rate lower than the United States. United States suicide rate higher than Japan. United States suicide rate lower than South Korea at 21%. There you go. But this is also from 2019. These numbers change. We are better than Japan? No, dude. That means our suicide rate is higher than Japan. What are you talking about? 21 point. South Korea is 21 per 100K, like suicide per capita. Being higher on this list is not a good thing. It's a bad thing. America, baby, hips. Throw up the champagne, lads. Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Angola, Armenia, Australia, Austria. Wait, what the fuck? Why is this saying 4 at Azerbaijan, but it's still lower? No, it wasn't alphabetical order. Damn, bro. Ain't no motherfucker killing themselves in Turkey. What the hell? Bro, what the bro? That's crazy. The hair transplants are curing people's depression. No, it's because it's haram, obviously. I think that probably plays a role in it. But then, you got Indonesia here as well. Negative association with the availability of donor. Y'all got state brothels, Lamau. That probably plays a role in it. I mean, you'll see a bunch of Muslim countries on here because it is very frowned upon in Islam to kill yourself. It is highly illegal and also very much haram. So that's the reason why they are pretty high. How would you propose implementing socialism in Japan where capitalism is working relatively okay with collectivism and xenophobic ideologies? But it's not. The Japanese situation is so that like a prominent Japanese economist at Yale unironically suggested mass genocide of the old, like forcing them to kill themselves as a way to fix the country's problems. And a lot of Japanese young people in Japan heard about this idea and went, oh my God, that's a brilliant idea. Like Midsommar shit. I don't think that is a telltale sign of a healthy society. Americans will be taking over Japan's countryside soon. It's like 50K for a house. Yeah. Lol, that was dumb. I loved how you love to be in the Japans though. No, I love Japan. Japan's dope.
I'm supposed to, pay your bills, right? If I drive you crazy, you're going to say, screw it. Hell with it. I'll pay the goddamn thing myself. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Good. And the insurance company's like, hey, right on, man.
This is the funniest article. A Yale professor suggested mass suicide for old people in Japan. What did he mean? This is real. He suggested this as a state policy. And the worst part about it isn't that he just suggested this as a state policy. It's the fact that younger Japanese people were like, that's an incredible idea. I am so on board. I ain't trusting no mother wearing glasses like this. I'm sorry. Okay, that's crazy.
It's exactly what I wanted.
Today, we're here to celebrate the perfect. Because it feels like we're electing people that have this in our best interest. If that's the number one cause of bankruptcy is medical billing, how do our politicians not see that this is extremely important and that things need to be different? Like, what are they lobbying so powerful with? I know it's money, but it's like, I just can't imagine that people wouldn't see the good, the value in what is right.
Well, it's all that I can tell you is money talks to a large degree. And it's not to suggest that, members of Congress are evil or terrible people that want people to suffer. They don't. But you have a system which almost says, oh, you can't even think about guaranteeing.
Nice to hear this from the Times of Israel. Yeah. Why is the Times of Israel writing about, as fall semester nears, Columbia restricts access to campus to prevent disruptions? Interesting. Like, what the man, they're dialed in, dude. Literal babies on the world stage. Israeli rep to the UN gives his farewell address and says he was proud to represent the most moral country in the world, the most moral in the world. You listen, Palestinian representative.
Colleagues, as this may be the last time for me to address you as Israel's ambassador, though who knows?
Oh, he's not wearing the Star of David, the yellow Star of David, to invoke Nazi Germany, to be like, if you don't let me do a genocide, this is my personal Holocaust.
Perhaps another session will be called because of more terrorist propaganda. I would like to leave you with this. I have been immensely, immensely proud to represent my country here, the most moral country in the world, the most moral country in the world. You listen, Palestinian representative, in this warped place. I hope one day you will also see the bias and perversion of morality here and pray. And
yeah, one day we will see, inshallah, the moral bias and perversion demonstrated by the United Nations in terms of constantly carrying water for Israel's genocide. Inshallah, one day.
I pray that you will see the truth. The terrorist organization that this guy represents here and tyrannical regimes should be condemned, not protected. And that Israel...
No, we are condemning a tyrannical regime, the regime of Israel, bitch.
...should be praised. We are today the vanguard of civilization. We are the vanguard of civilization.
Ugh.
But until then, Am Israel Chai. Thank you, Mr. President.
Am Israel Chai. The arrogance is so frustrating. Here's the tweet.
Awaken the people. May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States. May Allah...
I love that so much. I love that. It's my favorite.
Awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
It's an all-timer, 100%.
Guaranteeing health care to all people. Oh my God, what kind of, you're a far leftist.
Yeah.
What, you're a communist, man? What are you? You want to take on the insurance companies, hard-working people, So it almost, you're not even allowed to talk about those issues. And meanwhile, we're the only country that doesn't guarantee health care for all.
Yeah, I mean, my one caveat, and I don't know exactly what caveat means, but I think my one, left turn on it would be, yeah, how much responsibility then are people going to just have totally less responsibility and just be taking pills?
Oh, I was like, why the fuck are people saying golden kappa train? I thought you guys were talking about the top of the hour ad break, which is coming to you right now. It turns out there's also a golden kappa train happening right now at the top of the hour, and there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster. Hopefully that's me. Okay. Hey, yo. The gift subs are pouring in, dude. You motherfuckers don't even care about allowing people to avoid seeing the ads. You just care about the golden kappa. That's crazy. That is crazy. I thought this was a socialist community, dude. Bullshit.
I don't know. Maybe that's just a crazy thought, but if it's not happening in other countries, then maybe that's a good example.
It's
that
an
it
issue.
wouldn't
I need you to
happen
see
here.
It
how
is an
tight
issue in
this
other
shirt
countries.
is.
For example, all right.
It's incredible. The reason why he's wearing that is because it packs his shit in and it makes it look like he's muscular and not fat. His legs are shaking because of the blood, because of the blood clots. Like his blood vessels are restricting blood down to his legs, so it's shaking. He's so hot. He's so hot.
You're a lonely older person. Maybe you're living by yourself. I'm feeling lonely. Maybe I'll go to the doctor, right? When I'm not really sick,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Will people abuse it? Yeah. So what? I mean, it happens, and you try to discourage that. So no system is perfect.
Right.
But the bottom line, as Americans, we have to answer a very simple question. Is healthcare a right of all people, whether you're rich, poor, medium, whatever you are? I think the answer is yes.
Well, I think especially when you start to look at other places that we spend our money, it would be very hard not to say this. We should certainly spend it there first. It's just unbelievable that we're this powerful of a country and we don't have it's like we lost our emotional.
That's a good point. And I'll tell you something else. Let me get off of healthcare for a second.
Okay. Well, before we get off, I want to. So I know that you guys have a bill because I have a group that I've worked with, done volunteer stuff with, called Power to the Patients, right?
Good.
And it's notating the prices of, like, say you get an MRI, like the hospital now has to let you know that the MRI is $700, so you can call the hospital down the street and see that there it's $550, so you can make a choice, so you know up front.
That's good.
So you're not getting a $10,000 bill later on.
You got it. It's called the transparency bill.
Transparency bill. And is it passed yet or no?
No, it has not. I'm working with it with a guy named Senator Braun from Indiana, who's a Republican. Good guy. And look, it's exactly the issue. People walk into an emergency room. They walk into a hospital. Do you have any idea? You know, here, Theo, this is what we're going to do for you, blah, 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 blah. And you come out and you drop dead because you see a bill of, tens of thousands of dollars, right?
That's the crazy part. Yeah.
I mean, people go in surgery. They come out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
It
It is. It's insane. All right. And the point is, look, I should have the right to know. You want to hear? You think it's crazy? Let me tell you how crazy. It's even crazier than you think it is.
Okay.
Okay. You have Blue Cross insurance. I have another insurance company. Same hospital. You go and get an MRI. Your insurance company will pay $500. My insurance company pays $700. So even in the same hospital for the same treatment, the price is different. Not to mention different hospitals.
Yeah. Well, it's just wild that they can do that. It's almost like I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to get an apple, right? I'm going to eat it. And then after I eat it, you're going to tell me how much it costs.
You got it. That is
and they're like, it's $400. You're like, is it from the Garden of Eden? Like,
but it's
where
even
is
worse. You're exactly right. But it's even worse because you had to go to the hospital.
Right. Right. Yes. It wasn't a choice that you made. I know you guys had launched an investigation, even because this is kind of current, about Ozempic, right? And the cost of Ozempic in different countries. Because I was dating a girl, or not dating, but we met up a couple times at night or whatever. And it's like,
Come on, man, you're talking to Bernie Sanders, bro. Come on, dude. That's Bernard Sanders, dude. Yo, I'm hitting this, right? Hey, Bernie, I'm hitting this, right? This broad. We're dating, right? We was just talking.
like she was leaving one morning to drive to Mexico to get Ozempic. And I'm like, what are you? You're just driving in the middle of the, at 5 a.m. to go to, what's going on? And she's like, well, it's just way cheaper there. And I'm like, but is it as regulated? I don't know. But I know that in some countries, the prices on it are so different. Like in Canada, it's $150 something.
Got it.
And in America, it's 700 and something.
Close to 1,000.
It's close to $1,000 for a diabetes medication. I know some people use it for, kind of
Weight loss.
Yeah, weight loss, or look the way they want, spring break or whatever. But that's crazy. Why isn't it just the same? Is it because they know they can charge us more because we have more money?
That's half of it. but only half of it? That's a great question. Thanks for asking it. All right. It's what my committee deals with every day. We've had, by the way, some success in the last few years, and the Biden people have done a good job on this. All right. Why is it that, I want to make sure I'm right here. Well, certainly in Canada, it's about $150 for Ozempic.
This is kind of related, but kind of unrelated. Okay. Let me explain something to you. Bernie Sanders went to the USSR for his honeymoon. Tim Walz went to China. Just a parallel that I was thinking about.
Here it's 900, close to 1,000. Why is that? What the Canadians do and what countries around the world do, what makes common sense, they purchase a lot of the drug, right? All right. So they sit down with the drug companies. They say, look, we have hundreds of thousands of people who are going to use your drug. We're going to sit down and we're going to negotiate a price, right?
Right. Of course, certainly after a few months, you should be able to see the averages and make a good business choice. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're a businessman and you're buying something from me, you're buying, thousands of items, I'm going to have to give you a discount if I want your business, right?
Certainly.
All right. That's the way the business works. So that's what every country on earth does. They sit down with the drug companies. Some do it more stringently than others. Up until very, very recently, there have been no requirements, zero, for the drug companies to negotiate anything. So they come in and they say, they have the board. What do you think we can get, Harry? Sitting around their board of directors. Well, actually, I think you can get $10,000 a year. I think you can go high. I think you can get $20,000. Look, we get what the market will bear. The government has no power. Wow. Charge them anything you want. That's what they do. So you got now, it's not just Ozempic, in which we pay in some cases 15 times more than European countries. It's all kinds of drugs. So the answer to your question is, up until recently, and the Biden administration has done a good job of this, there have been no capabilities of the government, Medicare, anybody else, to negotiate prices. They charge you anything they want and as much as they possibly can. What we did is part of a bill called the Inflation Reduction Act, stupid title to the bill, but that's what it was, finally have that the drug companies are going to have to sit down with Medicare and negotiate prices. They're going to be announcing some interesting results pretty soon. So for the first time, there is the beginning of negotiating prices, and it will lower prices. Second of all, what we've done on my committee, a lot of people have asthma, and they use inhalers. I don't know if you know anybody using an asthma inhaler.
Yeah.
All right. 10 times more expensive in the United States. So we kind of shamed some of the big companies. They lowered it down to, some of them, to $35. So making some progress on lowering the cost of prescription drugs. But to answer your question, up until a couple of years ago, drug companies could charge any price they wanted for any reason.
And now, and that could be changing with the Inflation Act?
Yeah, Inflation Reduction Act. What it basically says is the 10 top selling drugs, they're going to have to come then and sit down and negotiate with Medicare price. That is, by the way, what the Veterans Administration does. The VA in America does a good job.
Yeah.
They don't pay outrageous prices. They negotiate, and that's what Medicare is beginning to do.
Yeah, if you can't breathe, I mean, yeah, you're almost a fish if you can't breathe, Let's talk about some politics. Oh, wait, and the price transparency, that's happening now? Like people have to show their prices or they don't?
No, they don't. We still haven't passed that bill.
Okay. Do you think it's going to happen?
It's a popular bill. I think we have a good shot to get it done.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man, it makes me just sick because somebody's already sick. And
You're
you
right.
know they're sick.
Can you imagine if there was I don't know, like one of the major parties running on this, dude? I've never encountered, the only people I've ever encountered that are anti-Medicare for all are online. They're on Reddit, okay? I've never in the real world, Trump Republican, MAGA conservative, liberal, whatever, I've never actually met a single person that's like, yeah, no, that shit would suck actually. It's so crazy. My entire workplace hates it. Bro works at Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Sick. Like if it were your family member, what you want them to just sit there and just be angry? They're on the phone every day. Then they don't have any energy for their own family. It just
you're absolutely right.
I just can't imagine choosing, especially when you're already making a ton of money, choosing to make a little more money. What do you need?
My boyfriend's parents think if you are unhealthy, it's your fault and they shouldn't have to pay for it. Let me guess, they're fat too. And most likely are going to die to heart disease and are already on their way to become diabetic. It's always it's always the least healthy motherfuckers who are like, yo, you know what? If you are unhealthy, that's your goddamn problem.
But now you're raising even another issue.
What do you need?
You're talking
Before
about corporate greed here, but that's another issue.
yeah, I know you hate it. And we all hate it. I think America's at the point where the screw has been turned so tight that I think, yeah, it starts to create radicalization, starts to create a lot of stuff. Let's talk about the election coming up right now, or just the current candidacy. I wanted in 2020, I believe that's when you ran. I wanted you and Donald Trump to be on the same ticket, right? That was a thought that.
Bro, look at Bernie's face. Yo, he's so, dude, Theo Vaughn, dude. He's so dumb. Oh my God. Hey, listen, God bless his soul, okay? He's something else, dude. He is something else. I've never seen Bernie make that face before. That's a hilarious. Oh my God. Bro, we ain't got no education in this country. I swear. Oh my God. This is so stupid. Oh, that's a child left behind right there. God damn.
That I had, because in my mind, I'm just a regular guy. I don't know a ton about politics, right? I felt both y'all were outliers, right? That's how it seemed to me. These guys.
Dude, I love shit like this because this community is so incredibly invested in politics that, like, I think sometimes it's important to hear someone who obviously isn't a normal person by any means, but absolutely represents the median voter. Okay? Like, this is not, this is common. Okay? Way more common than you think. I thought it was a joke. He's a comedian. He's not joking. He is not even joking a little bit. Okay? You could not find the most perfect average American take. God, I love this shit. This is so great.
They're both outliers. They're both different. But
I love chatters being like, no, he's joking. He's not joking, man. He's not. You're so, bro, he is not joking.
But seem to be doing their own thing. You've been outspoken against Trump, right? Do you think he's not, is he doing his own thing, or is
Yes, he is. Like, look, I will give Trump credit. Okay, he does his own thing. Okay, he's a very different type of politician, and that's clear. But this is what I do think, Theo. While I
my coworker wanted Kamala Harris to pick Adam Kinzinger to be your VP pick. Yo, take your coworker's MSNBC access away, bro. No, that's too much MSNBC. That would be historic. Okay, analysts are calling it the 3-vote ticket. It will just be 3 voters voting for that ticket. Okay. Oh my God, you guys already made it. You already made it an emote. That's crazy. That's crazy that you made that an emote this fast.
respect somebody who has the guts to do their own thing and be very much a non-traditional politician, which is what he is. Here's the facts. He lies all the time. Right? And, you know, I got 4 kids and I got 7 grandchildren. And we really have to ask ourselves whether the guy who is the leader of the country, whether that's the kind of example that we want. So I have a lot of friends in politics who differ with me, more conservative people. They're not liars. We disagree. So you and I disagree on something.
It's fine.
So what? It's called American democracy.
Yeah, it used to be fine.
That's right. All right. But Trump really is, I use the word.
Damn, my man's got a whole box of cookies next to him. Insomnia cookies too. I'm so fat, bro. How do I look? You'll see in a second.
When you see him on television, not everything, but a lot of lies. Okay, and I think we can't have that. You know, and when he was in the private sector,
Crumble cookies. Oh, I love cookies so much. It's fucked up. It's fucked up how much I love cookies, chat. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, it does things to me. Oh my God.
Before he became involved in politics, he was sued, his companies were sued 4,000 times. And I just, above and beyond his political views, which I disagree with, but then those you can discuss, I don't think you want somebody leading this country who is shady.
So you're saying he doesn't set the best example of
Exactly. Look, you got kids. Do you have any kids?
I don't have any yet.
All right. Well, hope you do. And you want kids to be honest, right?
Yeah.
You don't want
New subs don't know about how much you love cookies. Yeah, because I changed the times that I actually stream. Every night I still have an ice cream sandwich. But back in the day, I used to stream late into the night because I had a job. So I had to work a real job, and then I would stream for like 6-8 hours late into the night. And at late into the night, I would have my ice cream Sammy every night, which I still do. It's just not on camera, so you don't know. That's why we have the Haas Sammy emote.
want them to be bullies and picking on the weak. And so that from a character point.
Fat boys are the greatest? No. I mean, fat boys are fine, but no, they're not the greatest. That's crazy. No, I love the Oreo cookies. I even fuck with like the Nestle ones, the Nestle cookies. For me though, they have to be not super high in calories. That's the reason. Like otherwise I would get like incredible shit. Back in the day, I used to have, oh fuck, what was the cookies that I used to have? I used to have them all the time. It's like a higher echelon brand. It's like they have it at what is it? It was crazy. It was like they sell it at like, no, it's not Erewhon. No, they sell it at Whole Foods, or used to. Cool House. Yeah, I used to have Cool House. Bro said Magnum. Magnum is not a higher echelon ice cream, nor do they even have cookie sandwiches anyway. It was Cool House. I used to with the Cool House ones, but those are like 400 a pop, 400 calories a pop. So that's why I stick to like lower calorie, like the Oreo ones. The Oreo ice cream sandwiches are like 210 calories, which fits in my macros. Oh, the Skinny Cow ice cream sandwiches are fine as well. It's not bad. I understand you love her cookies. It's like my unwavering love for donuts. I love donuts too, but I can't have them. It just like makes me feel like shit afterwards. Ciara, I love you. That's crazy, man. Get some Yasso, bro. I've tried it all, man. I've tried it all.
Point of view.
Oh my God, look what I found. Back then, you could just like rip a live stream off your phone and shit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Okay. What is this? $480 calories. Okay.
Bro, I have the gloves on. That's how you know it's early. I had the gloves on. Dude, I had the shittiest mask on too. It was crazy. Like, it was just not a protective mask at all. I just strapped on the first mask that I could find. That's crazy. This is a lifetime ago, man. So much has changed.
I don't like it. But also, let me give another example. I happen to believe, I don't know what your views are, that women have a right to control their own bodies. All right. I don't want, as a man, somebody saying, oh, Bernie, you can't have
$6.29 a box. What is this? The 1950s? Yeah, it was pre-COVID. I mean, it was literally peak COVID.
a vasectomy. You can't do this. My business, not the government's. And Trump does not hold that view. I happen to believe strongly that climate change is real. We got the, just a week or two ago.
Yeah, I saw your podcast with Bill Billinkoff.
Bill McKibben, of course. I've known Bill for years.
Bill McKibben, yeah.
Yeah, and Bill is...
I want to get to speak to him. He seems really interesting.
Smart guy.
Is he?
I've known him for years.
Yeah, because I want to learn more about, you just always hear about climate change. And so, I want to learn more about it.
Good. And I hope you do. And have...
Wait, what the Racist University of Kentucky student pleads guilty after singing the N-word 200 times at black staffer in 10-minute rant. Here's how long she faces in jail. BLM Tel Aviv, saying the N-word is illegal now? Olympic racism? Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but...
I'm sure Bill would be happy to go on the show with you.
That'd be cool.
You know, if you wanted, I can give him a call.
Awesome.
In all of the scientists agree, when you put carbon,
Told you some shit going on out there. You didn't want to listen. Yo, tell Patrick Beverly, bro. What do you mean? Tell Pat Bev. His co-host was like, yo, they fuck with black people over there. He was like, who does?
into the atmosphere, it creates a ceiling there. The earth warms up, and then because of the earth warming up, you have extreme weather disturbances like you come from Louisiana, do you?
Oh yeah, we're sinking.
You've seen the terrible floods there. We've had them here in Vermont.
Yeah, they have in Savannah right now going on.
Right, that's right. Floods the likes of which we've never seen. You're seeing drought. In Saudi Arabia, temperature reached 125 degrees, which people are dying by the hundreds. So Trump does not believe that climate change is real. And if he becomes president, that means not only will the United States, the whole world will give up. And I don't know what this planet is going to look like in, 10, 15 years.
And do you say that because America is really the leader of the forefront of looking out for climate change?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We're the largest economy in the world.
Right.
Now, China is a bigger polluter than we are right now.
Oh, yeah, dude. They all smoke, too. A lot of Chinese people. Yeah, that kid that smokes on that bicycle or whatever he's smoking.
What the f does this bro, stop. Bernie loved the smoking baby reference. Stop, bro. Bro, stop.
Like 11 cigarettes.
All right, but if we say, hey, the hell with it, then other countries are going to, because it's a global problem.
Right. Then everybody's going to be like, oh,
You got
screw it.
everybody backs off. And then I don't know what this planet, you talk about floods.
That's not even a Chinese kid, man. What the f bro. Hey, what kind of Chinese is that kid? He's one of them brown Chinese. They call them Indian Chinese, like Indonesia or something.
It's going to get worse and worse. Heat waves worse, drought worse, migrations. There are millions, hundreds of millions of people, little farmers in poor countries. They can't farm anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So I disagree with Trump on that. So those are some of the reasons why, I'm strongly against them.
Those are important issues, I certainly, And I don't think it's like everybody can have their own thoughts on different issues. And do you see why people like him?
I do. Because he's very disarming. He gets up there and he says whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
He is not.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's by the book. That was a thing.
He is not by the book.
Right. And so that's something, the same as you. It's like he's speaking for, it feels like they're speaking for themselves, right? Whether you agree with maybe what they believe what they're saying. And that, I think, comes through.
I think you're right.
Clearly to people.
I think, he's certainly unusual. Gets up there and he rants and he does his thing, and he's not necessarily, I'm sure his advisors go crazy, but he's not needing, not reading off. He doesn't have 14.
Kid Rock is one of his advisors, And look, I love Kid Rock, but
Bernie loved that. Yo. Oh my God. Getting a guffaw out of Bernie like that, that's nasty work. You hate to see someone else living your dreams like that. You hate to see someone else live your dream, dude.
I don't know if every advice, every advice of his is the best, but now some of it is, that's for sure, but some of it may not.
You're right. And, a lot of these politicians have 18 different consultants. You can't use that word. You can't say that, and he's
that
not
makes
like
it miserable. He's not like that. Right.
And people find that appealing. I get it. But, again, I don't think you could have a pathological liar or somebody who doesn't believe in women have the right to control their bodies. Who doesn't believe in climate change.
This is like grandpa with his not very bright, but one of his favorite grandchildren.
Change. I think that's bad. And by the way, I'm not quite so sure how much he believes in democracy as well.
Yeah. Well, and look, that's how you feel, and it's important. And you've always had your own feelings, and I appreciate you always having them and sharing what they are. Did you feel like whenever the people tried to assassinate, did you think it was deeper than that? Or do you think it was just some Reddit jockey just on?
First of all, it was horrible. I mean, I disagree with Trump on everything, but the idea of people assassinating Trump or anybody else is
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is horrible, and I can't give you the words. It's just terrible. We cannot have that in American politics. My own guess, and I'm not an expert. I'm sure there are a lot of, conspiratorial theories that are out there. I think you have, we've seen it before. You've seen seemingly normal people walking into schools with guns doing horrible things, right?
Yeah.
And I think you had, for whatever reason, I don't want to even speculate why this young man did what he did.
But you just think it was a young man who that was it.
That's what the evidence seems to suggest so far.
Right. But you didn't hear anything else. You guys don't hear anything else as Congress people. You don't hear anything.
Dude, I love. He thinks like Bernie Sanders has access to extra knowledge about the motives of the shooter as a congressperson.
I don't know
Deeper
any
than
great
that.
secrets that you don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that Kamala Harris is the best person to run against Donald Trump right now?
Well, she is the person, and that's
And that won't change probably, huh?
Oof.
she'll be the Democratic candidate. And I've known.
Maybe he is a little bit misogynistic, which makes me love him more, obviously. But like, she is a person. Not my favorite, but that's what we got. Maybe if you didn't say America deserved 9/11, you'd be Theo right now. That's one of the funniest dumb takes of all time. It's like, yeah, dude, Theo Vaughn hasn't said like a multitude of worse shit than that on every podcast. No, people don't give a shit, dude. Like, nobody gives a fuck about things like that.
Kamala for a number of years. Not best friends, but I've known her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the Senate for a short period. She's very smart, and she's determined. I mean, above and beyond her views on the issues, which I, support most of them, not all. You got to give credit to somebody, a black woman, to move up the ladder. That ain't easy stuff. There's a lot of resistance to that, and she's persistent. She's strong.
Damn. You got Theo Vaughn to say that's a good point.
And I respect that. And, I think she'll be a good candidate. I was interested that Trump apparently backed out of a debate with her on ABC. And I wouldn't, I have debated her, as a matter of fact. She's tough.
She's tough. Was there a chance that you were going to get that nominee, or as an independent, can you get been plotted with the Democratic Party and put in?
No.
Was there even a call about it or anything?
No. I ran in 16. I ran against Hillary Clinton, and I ran in 20.
Yeah, I remember. And I felt like you didn't get treated fairly, to be honest with you.
And that's what happens when you take on the establishment. So
Yeah.
what happened is we
Say
won
it,
the first
Bernie.
3 primaries, and then
Say it, burn dog.
the establishment got very, very nervous, and there were a whole lot of candidates in the Democratic primary. And they said, hey, be a good idea if you all dropped out, let Joe Biden be the one candidate. People rallied around him.
And do they call? Is there a call that you get, and it's like you're not going to move forward? Is it just like
Oh, no.
news articles? Like how does the
Well,
establishment?
what
kind of
happens
work?
is I won the popular vote in Iowa. I won the New Hampshire primary. I won the Nevada primary, and those were the first 3. And then front pages of the New York Times, Democratic establishment very nervous. Bernie Sanders could win the whole. We were doing very well in the polls. And, I think behind the scenes, people thought, there were like 15 different candidates. And they were splitting up the vote. And that's how I was not necessarily getting over 50%. I was getting more than other people. So I was on the way to victory. And they said, look, Bernie.
Who's they, Bernie? Say it. Obama made the boss call. He did.
He shouldn't be the candidate for a variety of reasons.
But it wasn't just that. It was also, I don't know if you saw this, but July numbers are in. We're so back. Oh yeah, dude. We are back. We're back. Take me back to Nevada. Dude, it was like, I think it was one of the best moments of my streaming career, maybe of my life. Like pre-COVID. So much enthusiasm in the air. Just a feeling of like, we can do this. This can happen. So much hope. So much enthusiasm. At the time, everybody was talking about how the culinary union leadership had actually urged the union to vote against Bernie, and I was doing another Hasanabi vindication run telling you guys that the rank and file are with Bernie, and it doesn't matter that the union leadership is in the pocket of the Democratic establishment. And everyone was, all the smarmy, annoying little neolibs were like, you're wrong. Me. You're wrong. Bernie's going to get wiped in Nevada. It was so sick because people were talking about how Bernie Sanders is going to execute them at Central Park. Remember MSNBC commentators talking about on like regular network television, they were like, if Bernie Sanders wins, Chris Hardball Matthews said, if Bernie Sanders wins the primary, they will execute me at Times Square. That's what he said. He called us brown shirts for being in the Bernie brigade. Clown. That's so crazy. Anti-Semitism, not so much back then. To say that like the first Jewish candidate of a major party and his fan base were a bunch of brown shirts. Where was the anti-Semitism allegations back then? Yeah. That was reserved only for not going with the guy with like a murder case on his back.
We don't want him the candidate, drop out. And then on one day, a lot of people, 1 or 2 days, a lot of people dropped out. It was Joe Biden and me, and Joe had a lot of support, and all these people came behind him, and that's what happened. Let me also say, having said that, Biden is a friend of mine. I think he has done a very good job over the last 3.5 years. And I'm working very hard to see that Kamala is elected our next president.
The heat of summer is here. God, it's hot. My shadows are not. Did you feel like did it started to seem like people were losing faith in the media, right? And I feel like that's had a huge.
Why does he love Biden so much? It's because I think Joe Biden was nice to him 85 years ago one time, and he just never let that go. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, Biden literally was like nice to him one time, probably made fun of him behind his back, but like was nice to him to his face one time, and he was just like, this is a good guy.
Huge effect on society. It's created a lot of opportunities for what are often labeled as conspiracy theories, but then often end up being true.
Or because he can't talk ill about him because the establishment will cook him even more. No, that's just hopium. No, Bernie Sanders, unironically, one of my biggest criticisms of Bernie Sanders during the last primary cycle was that he just would not attack Biden. He rarely ripped into Biden when he was running against him. And the reason why was because he kept saying, Biden is my friend, Biden is my friend, Biden is my friend. It's like, bro, he's not your friend, okay? He's not. My friend Joe.
Truth just because, not all, but yeah, often end up being truths or having realness to them because the news media isn't even, it's like they all just go down these same similar paths and it's not, it doesn't even feel real anymore. I mean, the fact that you and I are talking is wild, it's like, I wouldn't talk to me, but the fact, but
look, the bad news is bad news and good news. The good news is you got a program and but millions of people tune into you.
Yeah.
And part of that is that people not necessarily believe CBS, NBC, ABC, or even Fox or anybody else. And so let me tell you what I think about that. Because I think you're touching on an important issue. We talk about healthcare, you talk about media. You have about 8 large.
Is this the reason why he's not so excited about Kamala? I think the reason why Bernard is not so excited about Kamala is because he doesn't know if Kamala Harris will be trustworthy or not. Like, also he's misogynistic, and that's why I like him. What do you mean by that? I mean, Kamala Harris ran on like a relatively progressive ticket in 2019 against Bernie Sanders when Bernie was running, and she was like pro Medicare for all, immediately backed away from that position, hasn't really brought it up ever again. Or the scarier idea is that he does know that too.
Media conglomerates, Comcast and all these guys, they're huge.
Serious.
Exactly. They own, people turn on their
Clear Channel.
You got it. They're huge. They don't own one station. They own radio stations. They own TV stations.
Miserable.
They own movies, producers. So these are owned by very large billionaires, big companies owned by billionaires. And they will discuss issues from here to here. All right, I gave you an example about Medicare for all. We should be having a tremendous discussion why we're the only country on earth not to guarantee health care. It doesn't take place on television. We should be talking about massive income and wealth inequality. There are 3 people in America who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Think that's appropriate?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think there should be a limit on how much a person can earn.
Okay.
To be honest with you, it may be, some millions, but I don't think it should be billions. Someone should.
I agree with you. I agree with you, actually. And I think most Americans would. Like, when's the last time you've seen that discussion on NBC? It ain't going to take place. All right. We have.
But that's what the people want, though.
Yes, that is exactly. That's why you're a success and why other people, with very limited resources, if you like, because you don't see that type of discussion. I just did a poll. My campaign did a poll just on these issues. Talking about issues that working class people want and need that are almost never discussed in politics or in the corporate media. And the answer is people are hurting. They want change. No one's talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's like, I don't know, the people don't even get thought of anymore, it feels like a lot of times. And here's the toughest part, I think, Bernie, is as a person who, has felt like in their life, maybe their father died in a war, their grandfather died in a war, and they've been tried to pay their taxes and be a, considerate person in their town or their country. After a while, those good people starts to erode a little because they don't feel like, and they lose their sense of purpose, man. When you lose the fabric of your society, a lot of people, that's how they didn't even realize it. A lot of us don't even realize we identify as an American. And when you realize, well, America, it's nothing, but it's a shell LLC for big corporations, then what am I? I'm just a
Bro, I'm telling you right now, you could have this conversation. Every average American starts talking like a communist revolutionary after describing, I don't know, 3 different ways in which the American for-profit system has harmed them. It's crazy. This is why there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity to truly talk to these people and change their minds. This is the regular dudes in Louisiana, Tennessee, Alabama, they see this shit too. Problem is the Republicans actually very effectively channel that frustration back to big pharma is making you gay by giving you vaccines. They're doing gender. And then the liberals are like, oh, shut up, you mountain person. You're stupid. And also better things are not possible. And we can't actually get free healthcare. How dare you talk about, I don't know, reducing the profit margins for major corporations by 1% in an effort to make people's lives better. In an effort to make working class people's lives that work at those corporations' lives better.
Idiot. You almost feel ashamed of yourself, or you can, anyway, just, I don't know. A lot of that stuff just,
Hillary Clinton, free ponies. That's what she said. Remember about healthcare?
See how people think that that's good or how you're going to still be able to get people to buy in.
Theo, I think you said it better than I did. I agree with you. I think a lot of people are ashamed. They're giving up. They're hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so important for us chatters not to be annoying shooters and scare normies like Theo away. Thank you. Exactly. That's why I always stress the importance of being normal and not being a theory nerd, not being annoying, not saying shit like, oh, dude, you're sitting on stolen land of America. This is a white supremacist, bloodthirsty, imperialist empire. Know the rooms that you're speaking in and know who you're speaking to. Okay?
Many of these people have fought and died, or their families have fought and died in wars, and they're good people.
That's why you shouldn't have grilled Theo for wanting a Trump-Sanders ticket. No, I'm gonna laugh at that.
And maybe they're, nurses and they're business people.
Yeah, anything. Crossing guard, mailman.
Right, exactly. They believe in their community.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're getting ripped off by people on top politically and economically.
Well, even the radio, like you're saying, it's you used to have a newspaper and you read, and it meant something. Your community meant something. It used to be that your grandpa worked at the factory and they made the table that you have in your home. And so everything had a story to it. There's some connection. And now it's we're buying stuff from countries that they're making it. They don't care. We're using it. We don't care. There's no story. Nobody has any there's no...
He's arriving at the most spiritual way of describing alienation, which is crazy. Just a Marxist principle. He's describing it very well, but also doing it in a way where it is the most unmaterialist. It's awesome.
There's no thread, the thread just gets thin.
That's a very profound point you just made.
And so how do we get it back,
Ain't easy.
Yeah.
But I think but I think you hit the nail on the head. People are, you're in Vermont, which is one of the smallest states in the country. It's a very rural state.
Beautiful.
Burlington is the largest city with 40,000. I used to be mayor here, But you go into small towns, everybody knew everybody. Often they were dairy farmers. We had a lot of dairy farmers. People work really hard being a dairy farmer.
Oh, yeah. I used to work at Cold Stone Creamers for a while. So not the same, but I get it.
All right, but milking cows, 5 o'clock in the morning on a cold winter day ain't easy work. But there was everybody knew each other. Nobody cheated each other. There was a sense of, then you have town meetings once a year and people argue about the school budget and all that stuff. And we are losing that big time for a lot. Maybe next time we'll talk about that. But we're losing that, as you indicated, for a lot of reasons. And if we don't get it back, I worry about the future of this country.
Yeah, we can. That is kind of a bigger topic. I've heard you talk about the 32-hour work week, man. It's intriguing. Second I heard that, I'm like, I'm in,
I tell you, it got a lot of response.
Yeah, I think there was a poll. I don't know if it was a Newsweek. I don't know where it was. That, the 32-hour work week. And one of the reasons behind it is why.
Okay, here's why. All right, let me back it up a little bit.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready for a tough question?
Let's do it.
All right. Over the last 50 years, massive changes in technology, right? 50 years ago, they didn't have this stuff. Worker productivity has gone way up, right? So you're a worker now playing with technology, machinery, whether it's a computer, whether it's, factory technology, you're producing a lot more, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of real...
Oh, you're producing more because you have machines that can help you.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Much more, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
So a machine can do the work of 30 men in a day.
You got it. Whatever it may be. Okay. Despite all of that, increased worker productivity, is the worker of today in real inflation accounted for dollars making more or less money than that worker was doing, or a similar type worker 50 years ago? What's the answer?
I would say less. So less based on inflation and everything. The workers making less now than they were then.
In real dollars. Yeah, we're called real dollars. Inflation accounted for dollars.
Real dollars. Okay.
How insane is that if that worker is now producing so much more than he or she did?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So now if a worker is operating a machine and that machine is doing the work of 20 workers.
I rarely ever get to hear Bernie Sanders walk like a Norman through the steps of like basic Marxist theory. It's kind of sad that the audio busted at this point, but like this is a treat.
Workers, then why isn't there some benefit to the worker?
You would think that guy's making, woman's making more money, right? Hey, you're producing a lot more.
See, he's defeating the misogyny allegations. That guy or that woman.
Yeah. Or widgets or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, got it? Mm-hmm. Okay, making less. Where will that money come? Well, who benefited from
Oh, the big dogs, right.
Over that same period of time, there was a study that there was a 50 trillion, untypical, redistribution of wealth to your bottom 90% to the top 1%. So, getting back to the 32-hour work week, it's a simple idea. If you are a worker producing a hell of a lot more than was the case 50 years ago, you should benefit from that increased technology. And one of the breakout people, as you mentioned a moment ago, living under a lot of stress, right? If you can lower that work week without loss of pay.
Right, so you're saying that there needs to be some kickback to them because that's if everybody's earning more, if the company's earning more. Yeah, some of the agree. It's just scary, man. I don't know. Yeah, it's just scary. I want to get into, but what about, would you have to raise the pay of people then? Oh, I guess you would because they're...
Yeah, but if you reduce, what you're doing here is reducing the work week, which is from 40 to 32, which, by the way, has not been changed since 1944.
Yeah, and that's when people had to do crops and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were snitting by lightning bug.
So we are a much wealthier nation now, but I want that wealth to be distributed a little bit.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, cool. We're almost done. Yep. Okay. Just one more issue I want to ask, and it'll be quick. Last question. If you were to look at, if there's somebody out there today who's like a guy who you were, who wanted to see change, who, started protesting on campuses and got involved and became a mayor and wants to get into politics and really thinks that they can make a difference, what path do they need to try for themselves now with so much lobbying and stuff going on? Like, what would you tell them?
All right, first of all, what you're involved in is some politics but change. And being an elected official is one way of bringing about the change. That's not the only way. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was never elected anything, right? He had a profound impact on this country. Never elected anything, all right? And you're seeing young people who are concerned about climate change on campuses doing big work. So go where your passion is. You know, your passion may be different than mine. What's your issue? I don't know this. So work on that issue, read people, educate, organize, read people. And if you then decide, hey, maybe I want to run for the state legislature, maybe I want to run for Pines, I want to get my, hands dirty in politics. Do it. But first of all, don't do it just because I want to get elected. That's bad, right? Do it because you believe inside it. And getting elected will help you do it, fine. If not, you can do it in other ways.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders, thank you.
Chat, are there any streamers that still does theory streams?
Thank you so much for your time, man.
Well, Theo, thank you very much. And let me just say this. Congratulations on your programs. And what programs like this do, I'm on TV a lot.
Dude, I love how old he is. He said, congratulations on your program.
I get 7 seconds to make a point. Can't make it 7 seconds. So we argue, you can have a serious discussion about serious issues is really great. I thank you for the opportunity and thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I've always been a proponent, and thank you for just being an outspoken person who believes in things and moves forward with those beliefs.
Now I'm just...
Anyway, that's a beautiful note to wrap this up on today. I got to get a haircut. When will Bernie be on your program? I should figure that out.